غدا ومشوا ولا بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد الصادق الأمين النبي الأمي المبعوث رحمة للعالمين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. بعد, my brothers and sisters in Islam, welcome back to the Dawah training program. Before we left last time, there was a very good question from the sister which needs to be addressed. This is a very common question. Why is polygamy permitted in Islam, and what are the rights of the women? Now, before we answer this question, there is some technical problem with the word polygamy. You have to explain first what is polygamy. Polygamy means having more than one spouse. It could be the man having more than one wife, or the woman having more than one husband. We have two terms, polygyny and this polyandry. This is the correct terms. Right? It should be wide. Okay. Now normally when I ask this question, they actually mean polygyny. Polygyny where the man has more than one wife. This is polygyny. The correct term is polygyny. But people say polygamy. This is the common thing. They mean polygyny, that a man can have more than one wife. But polyandry is a woman having more than one husband. This was present in the time of Rasulullah. Like you had one woman with 10 wives, meaning 10 husbands. And the man with so many wives. There's no limit. Okay? Now the first question, why does Islam permit this polygamy, or polygyny? First of all, you have to explain that when Islam came, when the Prophet came with this final revelation, it is not Islam this was already existing in the societies. There was no limit for the number of wives a man could have, and women also were married to many husbands. There was no proper limitations or system. And this is not only in Islam, even in the Christian, we have in the Christian Bible, we have from the Old Testament that King David had 100 wives. Okay? We had Nabi Yaqub alayhi salam had 4 wives. 2 wives and 2 Mulk Yamin. Sayyidina Ibrahim, he had Sarah and Hagar, later on married Keturah, 3 wives. And we have King Suleiman, King Solomon, 1,000 wives. Now don't ask me how he got so many wives. This is based on their teachings, I show you now. Okay. This is according to the Old Testament, Abraham, 3 wives. And you have King David, 100 wives, from second book of Psalms, chapter 5, verse 12 to 13. And you have this one, Suleiman. Okay? According to the Bible. Now, so if the Christians ask you this question, say, this is something that's already been there. Moses had 2 wives. Okay? And so Nabi Moses had 2 wives. Ishaq, Yaqub had 4 wives. Suleiman, 100 wives. Solomon, 1,000 wives. And David, 100 wives. Now, you tell them based on your Bible, this is approved. So what's the problem with having more than 1 wife? The thing is that you tell them, God sent Prophet Muhammad with the final revelation. There's no prophet to come after him. So Allah wanted to control this matter and ensure justice and equal treatment. Because there's a lot of abuse. People marry women, they don't look after them, they don't check on them, they ignore them, and they don't give them their rights. A lot of abuse. So Allah sent the revelation that if one wants to marry, he can marry up to 4 wives. And 2 or 3 or 4, but he has to treat them equally and justly. Otherwise, only 1. There's no book, revealed book of God, whether in the Torah or in the Bible, in the New Testament, or the Hindu, no restriction. Even the Hindus, they have no restriction in their marriage, according to their books, according to the Vedas. There's no limit. But according to the law of the country, they put a limit, 1 wife. Like here, you have done the same. But according to the Quran, it is the only book of God that puts a limit of 1. Okay? So we have many prophets who married so many women, and Islam came to regulate this issue because it's the final revelation and has to be solved, this problem. So Quran is the only book which say marry only 1. Okay? So this is Surah An-Nisa. Okay? Chapter 4, verse 3. Now, the point is this: you can tell them polygyny or polygamy, as they understand it, is not like the norm. It's a permission, mubah, hukm mubah, permitted. But it's not that every Muslim marries more than 1 wife. Sometimes there is a need to marry more than 1 wife. Suppose you have a close relative, he passed away, and he left his wife and children in a helpless situation. The children are orphans, the woman, she has nobody to support her. One can marry this lady to look after her and her children. If there is a war, when wars take place, most men are killed in the war because most of the men, they go to fight. So you have so many widows who are left with children and nobody to look after. Now, which is a better solution? That these women go to the streets and sell themselves, commit sin, or they be married and looked after properly, equally treated with respect and honor, and their rights are protected. So polygyny is a solution to a problem. One could have a good wife, he loves his wife, but she cannot have children, for instance. And he wants to have kids. So instead of divorcing this woman, if there's no other way, he will keep her, love her, and also marry another woman. See? Like Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, he had so many years, he loved her, he didn't even want to marry a second. She insisted that you marry another woman to get a child. So it's not something that is brought by Islam. It was always there. Islam came to regulate this matter, like the issue of slaves. Islam did not start slavery. Slavery was already there. Islam regulated it and freed the slaves, gave rules which allowed for their freedom, provided a mechanism to solve this problem. It's a practical approach. So Islam is very practical. Now, if somebody doesn't want to marry more than 1 wife, there's no problem with that. But Allah put a restriction, maximum 4 at any given time, and on the strict condition of fairness and justice. If you cannot be just and fair, then stick to 1. That's it. Otherwise, you'll be punished by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's not something easy. And you tell these people, normally say, look, today the life is so expensive. There's so many commitments, it's very hard even to marry 1. Not let alone more than 1. You have to maintain 1 wife is a big job. You have to pay so many bills. At the end of the month, you're in trouble, you know. So if you have so many wives, you have to be rich, financially capable. And it's not easy. So it's not the thing that we're doing out of pleasure. It's not like that. There's responsibilities. So there could be valid reasons to take care of a relative who passed away, to help support the family. That's what most of the marriages of Rasulullah were, because he married widows to support them, most of them. Some for political reasons. Sometimes people marry, especially if you're head of state, to unite nations. People used to marry for political marriage from one country to unite the countries. Like we had Britain and France, they're marrying from each country to unite the countries. France and Germany and Russia. And also in the time of Rasulullah, he used to marry for different tribes to unite the Arabian Peninsula, to bring people close. You could marry, he married Abu Bakr's Aisha, Aisha, the daughter of Abu Bakr and Hafsa, to bring them close to him, to unite that bond between him and his close companions. Now,
what's the real meaning of بما فضلنا بعضكم على بعض?
بما فضلنا
بعضكم على بعض.
What is the ayah, complete ayah?
I don't.
ولا تتمنى ما فضل الله بعضكم على بعض.
الرجال قوامون على النساء بما فضل الله بعضهم على بعض وبما أنفقوا.
بارك الله فيك.
الرجال قوامون على النساء. طبعا هذا تفضيل الدرجة. درجة هذا درجة القوامة, responsibility of being in charge of them, of spending on them and protecting them, being the leader of the house. Every organization has to have a leader. There's somebody, if there's no leadership, there is chaos. So there has to be somebody who is the leader of the house. So the man has been put in charge by Allah, because Allah favored man with strength, physical strength, and ability to seek risk and provide for the family and protect the family. But that does not mean that the man is a dictator. It means that he will also, of course, take into consideration his family's views, and his family doesn't decide only by himself and ignore the woman or abuse them. No, he is the protector and the in charge of the family. He is the guardian of the family. So this daraja is daraja of qiwam, responsibility, because man has to spend from his wealth, because of spending from his wealth for maintaining the family. Now the woman, even though she's rich, she doesn't have to spend a penny from her money. She may be from a rich family, she may have money. She doesn't spend one penny, the man has to spend. So for this reason, the final decision rests with the man, because he's going to bear the consequences of that decision. If any decision, suppose there's a dispute between them, we should buy this house or that house, of course he has to take the financial consequences. So he has to be the final decision maker. Of course, Islam promotes, we have to have like shura, amrum shura bainahum. But if there's any dispute, the man has to find, because somebody has to lead. So this is another issue.
Any Sahabi has only one wife, or
Has only one wife?
Most of Sahaba,
there are many wives. Of course, there were many, but many wives. Some also married after their wives. I mean,
they weren't rich.
see, those days marriage was not as expensive as today. No, he married Ruqayya when she passed away, married one. Abu Bakr had, even Umar had multiple wives before Islam. Then when he came, he had to divorce some wives. And also later on he married also. So it is actually sunnah. It's recommended. It's not. It's mubah. It's mubah.
علي بن أبي طالب تزوج فاطمة.
لم يتزوج وتبع لما توفى زوج
مش واحدة
زوجات. There is no problem technically if you can meet the conditions. Allah's given us permission. Now, we're not saying an asl, لا. We're saying it is mubah. الحكم مباح.
الإسلام هو التعدد، لكن الإكسبشن إذا كنت لا تعدد ولست قواما على النساء أو لا تعدد بين النساء أو ليس لديك عقل راجع.
فإن خفتم because what happened سبب نزول فانكحوا
ما طاب لكم مثنى وثلاث. هذه الاكسبشن. إن خفتم انكحوا مثنى وثلاث. مش لا، إن خفتم أن لا تقسطوا في اليتامى. فهمت؟ يعني هذه هي الاكسبشن.
لا الأولى
إن خفتم أن لا تقسطوا في اليتامى فانكحوا ما طاب لكم مثنى وثلاث ورباع. لا يعني نأتي بالآية كما هي معناها.
لازم نكمل الآية لأن في لازم من أول الآية عشان الموضوع يكون في.
ثم الآية الثانية فإن خفتم ألا تعدلوا. لا الآية الأولى فيها الاستثناء الأول. فهمت؟ يعني الأصل واحدة فإن خفتم ألا تقسطوا اليتامى فهذا الاستثناء فمثنى وثلاث ورباع. وإن خفتم ألا تعدلوا هو استثناء من الاستثناء الأول. فإن خفتم ألا تعدلوا فواحدة. والآية الأخرى اللي معناها تعدي ولن تعدلوا ولو حرصتم كلها. معناها
لكن العدل مش في
نعم العدل
ليس في الواحد فكان كان
حتى لا نرجع للتفسير مش موضوعنا المسلمين. لا احنا هنا نناقش شيء ما فيش اصل تعدد ولا الاصل الواحد ما فيش هو اباحه فقط
إباحة بس إباحة
ما فيش الاصل الواحد ولا الاصل المتعدد يعني ما فيش اصل واحد ولا الاصل المتعدد.
يعني المباح شنو؟ المباح
هو هذا المباح.
هذا مباح يعني الحكم مباح.
لا يعني
يعني لو فرضنا
واحد يبي يسمح
لأن المثال يكون واضح. المثال يكون أوضح عندما أنا أتزوج بزوجة وأردت التعدد وأنا أريد التعدد هل هي يمكن أن تمنعني؟
لا هذا مباح. لا مش الاصل يعني مش الاصل يعني هذا لازم
يعني شرعا لا يجوز
الاصل يكون عندي اربعه ولا
سؤال مين اللي بيتعدد؟
سؤال هل تعرفون من بين الصحابة من لم يعد؟
لا هو الإجابة الأخ أنا الأصل التعدد والاستثناء واحد.
إذا كان الصحابة كلهم
الآية لا تعني لا الآية لا يعني أنه الأصل هو إباحة.
لو أن الصحابة جميعهم عدل أصبح من السنة تعدد.
لا لأنه هو في السباق
and there I
فيش الأمر مش أصل واستثناء.
شيخ
لا يطرح شيء
هو الأمر مباح
ما فيش أصل استثناء.
الموسك
ما لو ترجع حتى ما قال انه في اصل واستثناء
كل بسم الله ما شاء الله ما شاء الله لا قوه الا بالله. He's from Yemen. He's married
هي
with two wives. One from Yemen and the other one from Hijaz. And he will going to marry with third one. I told him because we enjoy talking together. I told him are you going to get married with another wife? Yes, yes. So, and I told him from where this one. He told me from Sham. So next week he invited me to his house. Listen to me. I was in his house. You see, his house like الحبيب المصطفى صلى الله عليه وسلم ولا يمثل. هذا الرسول جلسة عربية يعني جلسة يعني على السنة ما فيش فهمتني يعني سيمبل يعني الأمر غير مربوط بالغناوة لأنه الآية بما فضلنا بعضكم على بعض فيها برشا مقاصد. فما إنسان فضل ربي في الباب وفما إنسان فضل ربي بالصلاح فما إنسان فضل ربي بالتقوى فما فهمت يعني فهمت في أمور يعني في شهور مش بشرط يجيب بالمال فقط. يعني إمام كم ستكون شهريته يعني إمام جامعة.
إيش
المقصود
الموضوع يعني عادي طبيعية ليس هناك علامات الثراء وعلامات
يعني حتى عفت بلاد المسلمين
يا جماعة هذا كلام نفس اللي يقول الشيخ سفيان. هي الحكم مباح ولكن بشروط إذا ما توفي الشروط فواحدة. هذا هي الحكم.
سمع شيء في بما فضلنا بعضكم على بعض. بما فضلنا الرجال على النساء.
لا هذا ما له بالقضية التعدد. هذا ليس له علاقة بالموضوع. هذا قضية ثانية. We go back to English. Now we go to Arabic. Okay, this is a very interesting topic. I know everybody like, but I don't see the sisters are happy about it. Al-Muhim, the non-Muslims they ask you, if you can say this is a permission given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if there is a need for it, with certain strict conditions of fairness and justice and a limit of 4 at any given time. But if the woman, for instance, she doesn't want her husband to have a second wife, she has stipulated that in the marriage contract. She can stipulate. If she wants the husband not to marry another woman, if he marries her, she has to stipulate in the contract, otherwise he will have that permission again. It's an option. You can use it or not use it. So
only in المالكية
ما فيش في المالكية.
المالكية لا يجوز.
طيب. المهم هذا رخصة. Now we ask these people.
هذا شرط.
Most of them say no, it's not fair. Why? What about the woman says? Okay. Now most of the Western people have been in the States. They say I'm married to only one wife. But how many mistresses you have? How many girlfriends you have? This is the reality. They're hypocritical. They say I have only one wife, but mashallah, how many girlfriends? Limitless. So much playing around. So this is Islam is straightforward. You cannot have intimate relationship with the woman unless within the marriage. So sometimes some men cannot be satisfied with one woman. So Allah provides a solution. Rather than committing sin, you marry and to properly fulfill the responsibility. The children are your children. You have to take care of them. Treat them all equally. So there could be many reasons. Either social reasons to take care of this woman and support her and her children. Maybe political reasons to unite the families. Maybe because of, maybe he has a reason to marry this woman for other reasons. Maybe because, he's in love with her or something. And also for maybe having more children. So maybe the wife doesn't have kids, he wants to have more kids. Subhanallah, there could be many, but Allah who created knows best. So Allah has provided a solution for a problem which can be used if there is a need. But if you don't have a reason to marry, then don't marry more than one. At least one wife is good enough for most of us. Majority of the Muslims are married to one wife. But those who wish to have more, then they have to obey, stick to the conditions, inshallah.
There is hadith from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He said, تزاوجوا تكاثروا أباهي بكم الأمم يوم القيامة، والحديث صحيح. شوف العلماء ايش قالوا أستاذ؟ قال تزاوجوا ولم يقل تزوجوا، وتزاوجوا هنا يعني لغويا دلالة على التعدد، كثرة الزواج. سبحان الله. هذا على ايش رايك انت؟ انت رايك؟ انا ما نسوي شيء.
انا ما
هو كما قال يعني امر مباح يعني.
انا عارف الحكم مباح، هذا الحكم اللي عارفه.
لكن هل هو يعني بشروط لو لا يستطيع
ما يتزوج
يعني هو في حاجه للزواج باكثر في حاجه لو ما فيش هذه الحاله هو من اصل ما يتزوج.
في مشكله شباب يزوجون اكثر وما عندهم امكانيه بعدين الاولاد لازم واحد يفكر شوي يستخدم العقل يعني مو بس تتزوج كثر ولو ما عندك امكانيه تعلمهم وتربيهم وما بس انتاج الاولاد وانجاب في تربيه في تعليم في مسؤوليه.
دابة على الارض انه على الله رزق.
طيب الرزق بس انت مسؤوليه هي تعليم وصحه واشياء مش سهل يعني الموضوع يحتاج الى واحد فهي مباح. نحن نقول يعني الرخصه موجوده طبعا يعني كل واحد
لازم القوانين
يعرف الشروط يعني لازم يلتزم بالشروط وخلاص. فالقضيه لان في بعض الدول سبحان الله عدد النساء تفوق عدد الرجال. Many countries women outnumber the men. If each man was to marry one then
بالنسبة للعنوسة في تونس 60%
عوانس. شيخ 60% عوانس والنسبة هذه 60% أعمار ما بين 30 وال40 ما حسبوش ما بين 20 و30.
This is the highest number. This is the highest number. This is the solution. There's no other solution. But if you pick the conditions and if the women agree also, and طبعا النساء لازم المرأة مو مجبورة تقبل هذا الشيء، هي حقها ترفض يعني. إذا ما تبي زوجها من قبل الزواج تقول ما أبي، بس إذا ما يعني قبل الزواج يعني يكون واضح.
مش مذهب
بس مو في مذهب المالكية وفي مذهب غير المالكية. Now, to go back to the question 2, which is what are the rights of women in Islam? قبل الإسلام before the Prophet got the revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there was the days of ignorance. Women had no rights. Most of them were treated, and they would be married off without their permission, without their consent. They had no right to inherit anything. They were treated like furniture. There was no proper treatment for women. They were even buried alive as babies, because it was like shameful for the people. So Allah came with the beautiful, the Quran when it came, it solved this problem and gave women many rights. First, she has a right to life, to be respected and honored as a human being, with full respect. Okay? Her life is protected by Sharia. You're not allowed to kill your baby children, even infant girls. This was abolished. She should not be married without her consent. Marriage is not valid unless she gives consent. She has a legal right to own property, legal entity. She could own property, inherit from her relatives, from her father or from her close. She can inherit. Before she cannot inherit. She has a right to do business and make contracts. So she got all these rights, right to education, right to, and also the husband has to support her and maintain her. She's guaranteed financial support either by her father or her guardian or her husband. These are the rights which Allah gave to which the West not get till only recently. In the last 16th or 17th or 18th century, that is when they got. Before, women didn't have a right to inherit or to do many things. They're not allowed. And if she was having property, the husband takes everything. Even in Islam, a woman keeps her maiden name. Today her name is Fatima bint Muhammad. Tomorrow she's still Fatima bint Muhammad. She doesn't become Mrs. John or Mrs. Ahmad or Mrs. No. Like the British, they change. If the woman, she loses her identity. Finished. She's now associated with the husband. She's lost. Her identity is lost. Islam maintains her identity even if she's married. She keeps her original name and her father's name. This is the beauty of Islam. Now, where is this compared to the West? None like this. So Allah gave her many rights in Islam. And so we find that Islam actually honored the women and removed from them this oppression which was there in the time of Jahiliyyah. Today, unfortunately, the West thinks that we oppress women and we take away their rights. Where did they get the rights? Only recently. After fighting for it, they had to fight for their rights, to work to get, not till today, you have in America, women, they work the same job as men, they don't get the same pay. They give the man more pay than the woman. Yeah, many countries, they still discriminate about women. Before even the Constitution made the thing, woman, she's not fully human. She's about 3/4 of a human being. Not fully human. Some Christians say woman is a devil. Just imagine, woman is a devil. Where is this compared to Islam? وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. Bani Adam, men and women. So Allah made Bani Adam honored. We all honored. So Islam has actually elevated the status of women. That lady, I showed you, Yon Ridley, she became because she saw the rights of women in Islam, which are better than what they have in the West. This is the reality. Why did she become Muslim? Because she saw that women had more rights in Islam and more respected and more honored in their own systems. This is what made her to convert to Islam. Today they're trying to say that we are the ones oppressing women. This is what Islam gave the woman, these rights. So you can tell them this, inshallah, they'll be convinced.
Why, when we speak about women in Islam, we compare this right with which was before Islam?
Yeah.
Why don't we compare it with
today?
Yes.
Even today, same thing. Women, you see, only after the Industrial Revolution, after the French Revolution, this is when they started to get their rights. How many centuries? Just 2-3 centuries ago, before 1400 years.
Dark age.
Yeah, women had rights given by God. They didn't have to fight for it. But now, these Western women, till today they're fighting. Till today they're still fighting. So many things they didn't get till today. They don't keep their maiden name till now. They get married, they lose their identity. Okay? In the Greek and Roman civilizations, women are like furniture. Nothing. They just get inherited like any other thing that they have. They have no voice, nothing. They're treated like not humans. They have no rights at all. So alhamdulillah, Allah blessed us with Islam, which shows what women, what rights they have. And also An-Nisa and they're twin sisters of men. So Hunna libasun lakum wa antum libasun lahum. What is a better expression? Hunna libasun lakum wa antum. Yani you cover each other, you complete one another, you complement one another. We don't compete with one another. This is the difference. In the West, men and women are competing. In Islam, we complement each other. This is the way to put it. So this is the Islamic position that we can tell them, inshallah, and we'll address this issue. Now I think it's time to watch the video. No more questions about women, okay? We'll not finish the day today. Yeah, well, bismillah. This is the ayah which I was talking
Sheikh, for the dawah too, when you want to do the dawah for the woman, it's a big door you open, really. It's not like this, but it's a big door you open, and it's so hard to run.
You have to be brave, huh? Don't be coward. That's a bit too, ya shabab. Isbiru. See, the thing is, you have to know your facts. And of course, the women will not easily agree. Most of women don't want to agree to this. But this is our deen. We cannot escape the truth. You have to tell this is the Islam. Islam is Islam. You cannot argue about what Allah This is Islam. You cannot say, I don't like this about Islam, I don't like that. It's not Islam. You have to taslim kamil. If Allah said it is allowed, it is allowed. Nobody has the right to say it's not allowed. This is kufr. We have to make this Islam, whether we understand why or not. It's not a problem for us. We should not say why like this or this is not the Muslim. Non-Muslims, okay, we understand, they want to know why. But Muslim, no, you should not question. What Allah says, khalas, finish. Allah says something, we have to fully submit. This is Islam. Okay? ما كان لمؤمن ولا مؤمن إذا قضى الله أن يكون لهم الخيرة من أمرهم. This is the real iman. Otherwise, you're not Muslims. طيب? Okay, now I have a nice surprise for you, inshallah. This nice DVD.
جيد كان يهبط غيرك على الفيسبوك دايما تاخذ حتى واحدة.
Or something.
كل كثير ناوي من الأول.
عندي اثنين ما تخافش. جاب خصوص فايدة في المرأة.
هي واحدة
فايدة هنقول لك فايدة في المرأة. إذا المرأة مؤمنة بالحق بإذن الله كل بس. عشان شيء بالراس تقول لي تبت لك الشعب بالراس تقول لي ما عادش أصلح.
This is a documentary about the tour, how we do it in Al-Fatih, documented and in detail. So you can see what I was talking about, inshallah, yesterday. It shows how it's done practically.
وين صليت الجمعة؟ الساعة فول سكرين تحكي
What happened? The sound is okay. It should come now. We have many actors. I'm one of them.
Full screen will be better.
Huh?
Full screen.
Okay, how you make that?
Double click.
Double
The right, the bottom on the right.
This one?
Yes.
The second one on the right. No, close it.
This one?
No, no.
In the middle, in the middle.
Here. This one? No, this one.
Click the right.
Then click on the middle.
Where?
Voilà.
This is maximum. This is maximum.
Full screen.
This is maximum screen.
Full screen.
Full screen. ايوه تمام.
And the micro please يا شيخ.
My God, the maximum.
Micro.
Huh?
The micro.
It's here. I put it here with the sound.
Okay.
It will come now, the sound, because it's sometimes.
Put a poster.
Click and
One click.
It's a pause.
space.
Pause?
Yes.
Yeah, it's paused. Okay, no problem. I'll play it. Okay. Come on. Bismillah. I'm watching something.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Muhammad Kadir, and I have a truly pleasant task to perform today. To be a teacher in life as we explore, as we discover how to define Islam.
The battery is down for the speaker, that's the problem. This one need battery to be changed.
This is the Ahmed al-Fatih Islam. The largest and most beautiful mosque on the island of Afreel, here in the Arabian Gulf. Our journey starts here in the mosque. Our intent is to invite people to Islam, to build bridges between Muslims
From India, Sheikh, this guy, yeah.
to remove misconceptions that some may have about Islam. Allah tells us in the Quran, chapter 16, verse 125, all people to the path of your Lord with wisdom and inspiring speech. Reason with them superior and respectful manner. Certainly your Lord will bless you with straight from his heart and to his side. There is great Islam, wisdom, a masjid, a house of Allah to invite people to the deen of Allah. Here in Bahrain, we have developed a unique outreach program built around this mosque. A program that can easily be adapted to be used in any part of the world to invite people of all faiths to Islam. This program is called the Awareness Through Mosque Tour, or ATMT for short. Before we further discuss the ATMT program, let us address a genuine concern that many Muslims may have regarding the use of a mosque for such activities. Is it okay to have a non-Muslim come to the house of Allah? Is this something that is sanctioned by the Quran? Would the Prophet, peace be upon him, ever have permitted Jews or Christians or the disbelievers of Makkah enter his mosque? Well, the simple answer is yes.
It is permissible for non-Muslims to enter masjids as a rule. This is actually confirmed in the Quran as understood by the vast majority of scholars. And we have a number of very clear incidences of this in the lifetime of the Prophet ﷺ. In the Quran, we have the very famous ayah of Surah Al-Dawah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing the believers, saying that those who worship others along with him are not to enter the sacred masjid, that is the Masjid al-Haram in Mecca. If non-Muslims were not allowed to enter any masjid, then there would be no point of specifying the Masjid al-Haram. The ayah specifically saying that those who worship others along with Allah may not enter that specific masjid. So that is from the Quran. From the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, in the last year of the blessed life of the Prophet ﷺ, the 9th year of the Hijrah, after Islam had spread and became prevalent throughout Arabia, different delegates from different areas of Arabia visit Medina and meet the Prophet ﷺ, or they sought to meet the Prophet ﷺ and make certain arrangements regarding their various affairs or specific affairs in their places. And one of these famous delegations was the delegation of Najran, of Christians of Najran, with the bishop and archbishop or whatever high post the priests had. In fact, that delegation was housed in the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ. They were given quarters in the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ. So they were not only allowed to enter the masjid, but their quarters was in the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ. In some narrations of the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, they asked to offer certain prayers and rituals, and to the surprise of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, he allowed them to offer their rituals in the masjid.
Despite the permissibility, there may be several reasons as to why some mosques may not allow non-worshippers to enter. These could range from political to social to many practical reasons, such as the size of the mosque or the disturbance this may cause the Muslims. And we have to be aware of these reasons. After all, we are here to invite people to the mosque. We cannot afford to alienate those who already visit mosques. Moving on, let us continue our exploration of this program, the Awareness Through Mosque Tour. What are some of its positive features?
One of the special features of the ATMT program in Ahmed Al-Fatih Islamic Center is that it's a structured program. We have a unique way of receiving the visitors in the center, and we escort them on the tour with professionally trained tour guides. They have to follow a specific tour route, and they have to stop at certain locations whereby they have to explain certain information to them regarding the center itself, including Islamic information relevant to that aspect of the mosque.
When people come to visit a mosque, they're coming to visit a place where Muslims worship. They expect to know something about what goes on. You don't just go to an art gallery and nobody has anything to say. You don't go to a church and you don't expect people to say something about Islam. So people expect they would learn something from coming to the mosque. So it's not impolite to say things about religion. It's not out of place to make them learn more about Islam.
The situation is ideal because people are visiting here to listen to what we have to say. It's a captive. The mosque, first and foremost, is a beautiful building. Architecturally speaking, it's a magnet. So people will naturally be willing to visit it. So we take this opportunity, of course, to go a little bit further. We present the building, talk about the features of the mosque, and from there, we take off and we go to spiritual matters.
He converted from Bahrain? No, before he came, he was a Muslim. From France. This tour was also in French.
One of the main objectives of the Awareness Through Mosque Tours program is to take advantage of the attractiveness of mosques to educating people about Islam mixed with a sightseeing around the mosque. And the mosque lends itself to this very well because nearly all the teachings of Islam have some symbol or representation somewhere in the mosque.
Where is he from? Nigeria.
talk about Muslims line up in prayer, shoulder to shoulder, feet to feet. There's no difference between black or white, rich or poor. There's oneness. Now, this is just an example of how we can use different elements of the mosque to introduce Islam to the Muslims.
These are some of the many reasons as to why AT&T works, but there's a key concept to understanding. If we're making a connection, face to face, mind to heart, arm to heart. This is the core, nuts and bolts as to why this program works. The mosque is an ideal place where people of all faiths can come together, dialogue with one another, understand each other, connect with one another. When people have broken down the barriers that hold them apart, when they have connected, their minds are open and their hearts are open. This is the ideal time when one is open to receive the message of God.
After coming here and knowing more about Islam, I have a different view now. Islam is a peaceful way of life.
My perception towards Islam and Muslims have changed because I understand now what Islam means to people. It's just truly amazing.
The principles that I feel are important to me and the principles of the Muslim faith, there's a lot of overlap there. I've just really gained an appreciation for what the Muslim faith is to.
I felt at peace. I felt a tranquility and a beauty, an unadorned beauty here.
When I came on the tour, it was prayer time, and I was actually allowed to observe that as well, which was extremely interesting and enlightening. It's something that I didn't think I would be able to see.
AT&T works. But before you get all excited, you need your first tourism. Before you give your first tour, you have to prepare yourself and your mosque. Not every mosque is as beautiful or as grand as the Al-Fatih mosque. Some mosques are small, some rather plain, and some that would, for any variety of reasons, not have immediate appeal. It is important that you identify that special characteristic in a mosque that will help you market it to visitors. This could range from historical significance to the simple fact that this mosque might be the only one in an otherwise majority non-Muslim city or country. Look for that marketable quality and use it to draw in visitors, and if for some reason you're not able to find that special something that already exists, create a reason to visit. But attracting visitors is just the beginning. What should the mosque environment be like? How should you prepare the mosque for your respective visitor?
When you invite people to your home, you will try your best to keep the house tidy, in order, that it smells good, and of course that your guests will feel comfortable, be enjoyed by anything. Well, it's the same with the mosque. People are our guests. When you start this activity,
The speakers went off.
I see.
It's from here, sir.
There.
From here.
Oh, it's okay.
is a must. The requisite to inviting your honorable guests, your to look for a potential tour guide and sincerity, and commitment, and friendliness. It's absolutely very important. Because the person who is going to talk to the visitor comes from the right person, who are very effective in communication. And the right approach.
كابوس غير الملامح يا شيخ.
هذا رسمي، هذا رسمي بحري.
Practicing Muslim can make a good tour guide. One does not need to be a scholar. Most tour guides are volunteers that come from various walks of life. Doctors, teachers, engineers, businessmen, homemakers, students and more. But what does is some training. Here at the Ahmed Al-Fatih Islamic Center, great emphasis is placed on training tour guides. Among the things we train mosque tour guides to prepare for is to make the experience that a non-Muslim is having when he or she comes to the mosque a memorable one, in every sense of the term. That you share more than what you say, that people can see in your behavior, your humility, something that they wish they could see in themselves. We need to remind them, and we do remind them, that people easily forget information, but they more easily remember impressions, the whole experience they had coming to the mosque. Remember, you are probably the first and last Muslim that a lot of these people would meet. You are representing Islam, you're representing the Prophet, you're representing the correction of whatever misconceptions people would be coming with. And we can't just put anybody there. It must be somebody who goes through training, who learns from the experiences of others instead of facing embarrassing situations where a visitor to the mosque asks you a question that makes everybody else laugh. So we try to ensure that the mosque tour guides are always learning more, always thinking again about how they do what they do, and to really try and make this person leave the mosque feeling Islam is a beautiful life.
I was asking a question that is there any proof in the Holy Quran that Jesus is going to come back?
Of course, the second coming of the Messiah is an article of faith. We all as Muslims have to believe in the second coming of the Messiah. So this is reported through mutawatir hadiths explicitly by the Prophet ﷺ. The Quran refers to this in 4 places, in 4 ayahs. Surah Al-Nisa, Surah Al-Imran, and Surah Al-Ma'idah. Then, of course, we have the ayah in Surah Al-Zukhruf, but they are not explicit in clarifying this. You can understand them by implication, by deduction.
So you probably want to go on the tour now, but hold on just a little longer. Have you asked yourself, why are you doing this tour? What is your goal? Well, your ultimate goal should be the pleasure of Allah. Sincerity is key to this work. You have to keep your intentions pure. But what about your aims? What are your objectives for this tour?
Of course, visitors do not come to the mosque with the same intentions than the tour guides. We aim at conveying some landmarks in matter of origin, but it has to be done in a way which is not perceived as oppressive by the visitors.
A lot of people have different intentions of coming to the mosque, so you can't really force them. Some people just want to take pictures, other people just want to ask some other questions. They have a lot of things on their minds. Some people have misconceptions. So it's always better to take the tour with the flow of how they are responding to the tour. And if they really are very interested, then I would suggest to keep it short. Just give them the basics, like Tawheed is important. Introducing Allah, introducing the fact that Islam is not a new religion. Keep it basic and friendly and simple, and hopefully they'll read all the books and literature they have, and they will come around.
My aim is to introduce Islam to the tourists. The main reason why tourists come here is because they want to see the mosque, they want to see the building, how it feels to be inside the mosque. Now, these two objectives could sound far away from each other, but there is a way by which we can make these two objectives meet. We can use different parts of the mosque as an entry point to start a discussion about Islam. For example, if you enter the main prayer hall, we ask the visitors, can you look around? Can you see any idols or images inside the mosque? This gives us an entry to talk about the oneness of God and how different religions talk about God as one.
Exactly. You can give information about the mosque and its beauty, yet at the same time deliver your message of Islam. This way, you meet your guests' objectives and your own.
Allah is Al-Hadi. He is the one who guides the people. He guides who he wants, where he wants. We, as I would say, middlemen, we try our best to convey some ideas and some concepts. But it is to be viewed within the frame of public relation. We introduce these concepts, we try to convey them in the best manner possible, but we have to realize that the end result is in the hands of Allah, not in our hands. So the people should not have this feeling to be forced into something.
Now let me make something very clear. It's not our responsibility to convert the non-Muslims to Islam. Our duty is basically to educate, to explain, to share with them about our faith. It's up to them to accept it or to reject it. And this is in line with the teaching of Islam, which is in the Holy Quran. We read in Surah Al-Baqarah, chapter 2, verse 156. Allah tells the Prophet, La ikraha fid-din, let there be no compulsion in religion. Again, in chapter 28 of the Quran, verse 56, Surah Al-Qasas, God tells his beloved messenger, إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ. Verily, you, O Prophet Muhammad, you don't guide whom you love, but God guides whom he pleases. So
So we know that our duty is basically to convey the message. But before we do that, we have to bring that person closer to us. And this is the role of Da'wah. We have to build bridges with the other person. We have to bring them close to us physically, emotionally, psychologically, and intellectually. And this way, then we can convey the message. When we speak to the people in their own language, easier for communication, it brings them closer to us, it breaks down the barriers. Because this is the most important thing. Before you can convey the message, you have to win the trust and the confidence and remove all the barriers between you and the other person.
The German people, when they come here, they expect that the language will be the English, and the tool will be English, so they get surprised when they see me talking in German language.
Here in Ahmed Al-Fat Islamic Center, we conduct tours in several languages. Mostly English, then we have French and German, and sometimes we have Russian tourists, we have sisters speaking Russian, and we do have some other Indian subcontinent languages. Recall that special word we used earlier, connection. You can define connection as an interaction between two people with a smooth flow of information in both directions. That's quite powerful.
Basically what we're saying is to think of your guests like you would your friends. When your friends